Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. Today's video is going to be a book haul. I have several things to go over from the last several months, so I'm going to try to go through it very quickly and not linger, because if so, I think we'd be here for a long time. So I'm not going to get in depth into a lot of these, but here's the book haul, bear with me, alright? First is The Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I keep saying Devney or something and I keep saying it wrong. Devney Perry. This is the first edition with sprayed edges. It's really, really pretty, and I was really sad when I thought that I missed out on this edition. But I ended up being able to find it, so I'm excited to have it. I'm actually reading this currently and I really like it. It's essentially an arranged marriage where her sister was supposed to marry this prince, but then she ends up having to take her sister's place because they demand it, because of the Shield of Sparrow bargain in this world. You'll get into that if you read the book. And she ends up going to this faraway kingdom where her father wants her to learn where their main city is, because nobody knows. It's this big secret. And to kill the prince and then return home. Fun stuff. Had to grab copies of Dungeons and Drama and Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce, because I read these this year and really loved them, and so I got copies of both. You've heard me talk about these enough that you know what they're about. They're D&D contemporary YA romances. So hilarious and cute. You also know about this one because I read it and did a reading wrap-up, but I have A Harvest of Hearts by Andrea Eames. This was not my favorite, but it's a really cool looking book. I might get rid of this because I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It was fine. I also read this one, but I have Fearless by Lauren Roberts. We talked about this one quite a bit in depth. I don't feel like I need to go into this. This is the Barnes & Noble edition that matches my others. The Goldsboro edition of Emberclaw by L.R. Lamb. I feel like this has been a hot second since I read Dragonfall, but this is the second book. I got it because I got the first one, you know? And there's not a lot I could say about this one because it is the second, but it is signed by the author, which is cool. And has a dragon. Oh my gosh, I've read a lot of these. Look at me go. I also have Where the Library Hides by Isabella Beñez. This is the Fairyloot edition that I had pre-ordered a long time ago. It finally came. Really cool edition. And I really loved this story. I also read this one, but this is the Fairyloot edition of The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. I did an unboxing for this, I believe. I also have The Demon Mark by Emma Hamm, Seven Deadly Demons book. This is like, I've just been collecting these, even though I haven't started the series yet, which is a little bit reckless of me. But she did all these like really cool editions for her Seven Deadly Demons series, which I just think is cool. And this is one of those. And then we have my special collector's edition of Vicious. This was a Christmas gift that came very late from my husband. This is the 10th anniversary collector's edition, and it was done by Lit Pen & Co. Yeah, Lit Pens & Co. And they did this whole edition of Vicious. That's really cool, and I really appreciated it. This is my favorite book ever, so having a collector's edition is just super cool. I love it so much. Even that one. There are no good men in this game. Oh, Vicious is such a good book. If you haven't read it, please read it. Make me happy. Yeah, it's also signed by V.E. Schwab, and he's also getting me Vengeful. Very exciting. Oh my gosh, when she finished writing Victorious. When their release date gets announced, I'm going to lose my ever-loving mind. Also have Behooved by M. Stevenson. We've talked about this one enough that you know what this is about as well. You don't. It's like Swan Princess, but the guy turns into a horse in the daytime. Yep. I also have The Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association by Caitlin Zachas. I really liked Dreadful by her, and this is about her having, like, I think she adopts a daughter, and the daughter ends up getting bitten by a werewolf, and she gets kind of, like, thrust into this fantastical society and world, and she's terrified, but she's just, like, a normal mom, and it sounds hilarious. I also have Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. I loved Phantasma, and so I was very much looking forward to continuing in the series, so I got this. This one follows Genevieve, and it says, "Welcome to Enchantra. There's only one rule. Never, ever trust your heart." This is like a labyrinth and a deadly game of hide and seek. Sounds crazy. Sounds intriguing. I'll also show you this. This was actually super awesome, and I'm very glad that I have this now that I am reading it. But while I was away, I was sent an arc of The Shield of Sparrows. Thank you so much. Super cool. I also got the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of Lights Out and Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. I ended up really enjoying both of these, and they've got really cool edges. Well, I really enjoyed this one. This one took me off guard. I also liked this one, but it's not like the best ever. But I enjoyed them. I also got the Goldsboro edition of Grave Empire by Richard Swan. I was just really curious about this book, and I hope I like it. Edges are kind of cool. It just sounded really interesting, and I'm hoping that it's like an epic fantasy I'm going to really like. Blood once turned the wheels of empire, now it is money. A new age of exploration and innovation has dawned, and the Empire of the Wolf stands to take its place in the foremost power in the known world. Glory and riches await. But dark days are coming. A mysterious plague has broken out in the pagan kingdoms in the north, while in the south, the enemy's proxy war in the lands of the Wolfmen is weeks away from total collapse. Worse still is the message brought to the Empress by two heretic monks who claim to have lost contact with the spirits of the afterlife. The monks believe this is the start of an ancient prophecy heralding the end of days, the Great Silence. Grave Empire is the first novel in an unmissable new epic fantasy series set in a world of gunpowder, arcane powers, and dark prophecy. So that sounds really interesting, so I'm hoping I enjoy this. We'll see. And then I had pre-ordered this a long time ago and already read it and loved it, and that is The Otherwhere Post by Emily J. Taylor. This is the same author as Hotel Magnifique, and this is about a magical post office kind of a situation where you can use a magical key and be transported into different realms and worlds, and the writing itself can be imbued with magic, and I enjoyed this. Super fun. At least, that's something I can say, is that I've read a lot of these and liked them. I also got my Bookish Book edition of Talonheart by Emma Hamm. This is the last book in the Dragon of Umbra series, and I have been waiting to complete my Bookish Box set, so this is the final one. Very exciting. Need to finish reading this series, but it's been a really cool journey so far. We're also going to get into all my Onyx Storm editions. Apologize, but this is the Target exclusive edition of Onyx Storm that was insane when that first came out and to find. I was excited about it. Apparently, some people were saying that art was AI. Other people have said, when they've looked it up, that it was created specifically for the book, so I don't know. I wanted it for the artwork like this because it's super cool. The edges are also a little bit different. So this is edition 1. Oh man, there's a lot of them. I also got the German edition because I get the German editions of all of them. Onyx Storm German edition. This one's super cool. It's Sigale's Eye. We love it. We love the dragon covers. They're so cool. And then just the regular special edition that comes out with like the first print run. I went to like the midnight release party for this, so it was mine early. I also got my favorite edition of Throne of Secrets by Carrie Maniscalco. I enjoyed this one more than I thought I would, and it's nice to have a cool copy of it. And I like the dragons, the ice dragons. I also got my favorite edition pre-orders in of the rest of the Poison Study series. They did like the first 3 and then they released the next 3 later. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember how the order goes at this very moment, but we have Dawn Study by Maria V. Snyder, Shadow Study, and Night Study. Really enjoyed the first book, looking forward to continuing that series as well. And moving right along, I also picked up a copy of Firebird by Juliet Cross. Hopefully I like this. This is book 1 in the Fire That Binds. It is said that no one can defeat dragons. I know it's like all about dragons and witches. A conqueror captivated, a witch prophesied to save them all, a world where dragons rule Rome. And that's what I've kind of heard about it, that it's like a fantasy world, but it's supposed to be kind of like Rome, the Roman Empire, and that she ends up having to be a slave to this like conqueror guy, but she has the secret power of dragons. I did see Becky from Bex Reads, and it seemed like she didn't enjoy it that much, which makes me sad, so hopefully I do, but if not, it'll be okay. Oh, I have another edition of Onyx Storm. Wow, this is the Fairy Loot edition. I forgot about this. I think this is the one I didn't get signed because it took me forever to buy it, but that's okay. I also got my Fairy Loot edition of The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. I got this because I got The Darkness Within Us or whatever, and I wanted the editions to match. And I read this and really liked it. It's a pretty cool edition as well. I also got my Fairy Loot pre-order of Kiki's Delivery Service by Iko Kanado. I loved this movie so much growing up, but I've yet to read the book, so excited to have a copy of it. and I'm sure I'm gonna love it because I loved the movie. And I loved Howl's Moving Castle movie and book. I know it's not the same author, but you know. I also got the Pendragon holiday editions of the Caraval set. I ended up not being super pumped about them because of a lot of things that were going on at the time, but this is the Caraval. Super cool. Legend, which is legendary, but you know. Finale. And Spectacular. I guess they all have like kind of a cool cover too, but Pendragon Society is like the Italian editions, and I've been able to get all of them for 70 Garber's books, except Once Upon a Broken Heart that everyone wants, but alas. I also got the Night Court editions of the Court of Thorns and Roses series. I was kind of kicking myself for not buying a copy of A Court of Silver Flames when they came out with this edition of it, so when they came out with all of them in this edition, I was pumped. And I really like the black on black with the moons and stuff. I know people weren't very thrilled about them, but I thought they were really cool, and I was excited that they were doing it. So we have A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and A Court of Silver Flames. I just like the black editions. They're just cool. I also got my UK edition in of my pre-order of Silverborn, The Mystery of Morrigan Crow. This is the Waterstones exclusive edition. I love the UK editions of these, and it took me a long time to find the other ones, to be honest, but they have these really beautiful hardcovers, and so I have to keep up with the series, and I've loved this series so far, so excited that I have the fourth one whenever I catch up. I also have the Broken Binding edition of Dance of Shadows by Gaurav Mohanty. I've been very much looking forward to reading the first book in the series and haven't yet, but the Broken Binding finally came out with the sequel, so I had to grab it because I have the first one. What I have been told, this is like a Indian mythology fantasy series, and so I've been very excited and curious to read it. It just hasn't happened yet. Yep. I also got my Fairy Loot edition of Cursebound by Saria Al-Arafi. This is the second book in the series. The first one is up here somewhere, but anyway. It's the second book. I got it because I had the first one. It's pretty. It's got this cool panther. Yep. Don't really remember much about the first book. Like synopsis, because I haven't read it yet. And then I have the Fairy Loot edition of The Floating World by Axio. I've probably talked about this in an unboxing. I know there's a couple I haven't unboxed, so if this is one of them, I'm sorry, but there you go. I also have the Illumicrate edition of The Scorpion and the Night Blossom by Emily Wenjiao. It's a pretty cool edition. The Immortality Trials offer a second chance in a brutal world and are open to any mortal willing to risk the journey to the immortal realm. The prize for completing them is eternal life. However, first they must survive. Fun. I also have my Fairy Loot pre-order of Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. I've read this whole trilogy, really liked it, have been collecting the Fairy Loot editions. Really enjoy what they've done with them. It's very pretty. Signed. That's so fun. I also have my Fairy Loot edition of Cruel is the Light by Sophie Clark, and I have read this. Then I got my Fairy Loot edition in of The Ragpicker King by Cassandra Clare. I started this book a while ago, the first book, right here, and was kind of enjoying it, but didn't get very far in it before I ended up having to put it down because the month ended, you know how it goes. But I really like the Fairy Loot editions, and I'm hoping to be able to continue this series because it sounds like something I will enjoy. And I think sometimes Cassandra Clare books can be, can take a while to like pick up the pace and to get you intrigued about stuff, so hopefully I can continue this series as well, finish it and continue. I also had pre-ordered The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. These really cool sprayed edges. I've read this. I loved One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by this author, and I read this and didn't love it. So we'll see if I hang on to this or how it marinates in my brain. It's a heavy book for what it is, though. I also got in my Illumicrate edition of Holy Terrors by Margaret Owen. This is the last book in this series, and I'm of the Little Thieves series, and I am excited to read it, but have not gotten to it yet. First two are up here. Little Thieves is like a retelling of, oh, what is it? Shoot, I can't remember the fairy tale where she turns into the princess to disguise herself, and the princess into herself. Oh no! I'm sorry, I can't remember what that is called. It's like the Red Pearl or something. Anyway, you've heard me talk about this series and I'm excited to read the third one. I also have A Drop of Corruption by Robert Jackson Bennett, and I have read this already. I've enjoyed these Sherlock Holmesy type stories, and I love the succulents and stuff on this book cover. This one I didn't like as much as the first one, but I'm curious to see what else he writes in this world. I also have the Illumicrate edition of Tideborn by Eliza Chan, because I have the first one in the Illumicrate edition, even though I haven't read it yet. I know, that's very unfortunate, and I'm going to have to crack down on some of my books, and I'm going to be unhauling a lot of books soon, but for now I have this. This was one of the very loot books that I got while I was gone, so I didn't do an unboxing, and that is The Glittering Edge by Vanessa Villaire. And this one looks pretty cute and interesting, and I am excited to read this at some point. The locals of Idlewood whisper of a tragic love story that began a decades-long blood feud. I feel like that's all you need to know. I also got my broken binding edition of The Tainted Khan by Taryn Mitharu. This is book 2 in the Dragon Rider series. You heard me talk about Dragon Rider last year. I wasn't a super big fan, but I was kind of curious how the story was going to continue, so I got the second book just in case. It's also this beautiful edition with the dragons on it. Super cool, right? So hopefully I like this story. If not, I can pass it along to somebody that would love it. And then last but not least, I have Fatebreaker by Hannah Kaner. This is the Illumicrate edition. I have God Killer, the first one, which is really interesting, about a story about this woman who's like a mercenary and kills gods, kind of like The Witcher. Loved the first book. The second book really flopped for me, so I'm hoping this ties it all together. Can't really tell you what it's about. Hopefully we bring it back. Hopefully she brings it back and it's great. Well, those are all the books in today's book haul. Sorry I didn't go into a lot of these in depth, but a lot of them I've talked about before, or you know of them, like A Court of Thorns and Roses. I don't really have to talk about that one. But if there's one that you saw that I haven't read yet and you would like me to read, leave in a comment down below, or if there's one you just saw that you're like, oh, I love that book, whatever. Let me know. I would love to know. I love chatting like that with you guys. But as for now, that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.